Hey guys, Jim with Trevor here. So today I want to talk about bracing, how to properly do it, why we do it, and then go through an in-depth analysis of some common cues that people often miss or people don't tend to wrap their heads around that can prove to be a real game changer. Because in terms of bracing, when we break it down and when it comes to it, it really is just taking a big breath of air and using that air to tense up the body, to build tension, to build tightness, to protect your body, to stabilize the body. And it's a very normal thing that people will naturally do without even thinking about it. Like say for example, you're in a day-to-day situation, you have to push something heavy. This isn't even in a powerlifting or in a weight training sense, but people will naturally or instinctively take a large breath of air and hold that air because they feel that they become more stable and they become stronger when they perform that movement. So bracing is very important, and when we look at its carryover into lifting and weight training, when you're performing heavy, big compound movements, especially for that squat, for that bench press and that deadlift, bracing plays such a pivotal role that honestly it should be the first thing that's taught if you want to become a powerlifter or if you're even weight training in general, because it really the amount of stability and the amount of strength that you get from it is so important and so crucial. So like I said before, bracing is essentially taking a big breath of air and holding that air. So why we do it is because when you brace it, you're essentially packing air and packing tightness into your core. And so when we do that, it protects our lumbar, it protects our back, our spine, and also so that's one aspect that bracing really helps with, which is injury prevention, because that lower back, whilst the body is built to, the body isn't fragile. The body, it's not like if you don't brace and you weight train, you're going to get injured all of a sudden. It's not going to be a crippling injury. It's not going to be it's not going to cripple you for the rest of your life. But the thing is, with over time and build up, if done incorrectly, then that increases the risk of injury, because you're not bracing correctly, you're not packing tightness, you're not building a stable platform, because essentially when you're weight training, you want your body to be stable. So that's one of the reasons why we brace. And the second reason is just the strength we can generate from it. When you have built a stable platform, that increases your capacity for force generation, and as such, more force generated means greater lift and greater strength. So that's essentially why we brace. And now we're going to go through I'm going to go through the steps of bracing and how to actually properly brace, because it's much more than just taking a breath of air in and holding the air. There's a lot of steps to do. So the first thing I want to introduce for the first step of bracing is actually going to seem a bit counterproductive, because normally people think, oh, you want to inhale air, you want to intake air. But the first cue I want to give you is actually to perform an exhale. So you want to let out air. So the first step is a quick, sharp exhale that you'll hold. So it'll look a bit like this. And I'll do it again. So you can from an auditory sense, you can probably hear the exhale I did. So essentially the first thing you want to do is perform a sharp, quick exhale, because what that does is when you exhale, if you try for yourself now, as you exhale, that contracts your obliques. And so that's actually one of the best ways to contract your core and to build up stability, is by letting out an exhale, because right away if you do it now, you'll feel all your obliques just flare up and become activated. And so that when you see a lot of bodybuilders, you might hear that when they're doing like an ab pose, an ab position, they perform an exhale, and because that's the best method of engaging that core. So the first thing that I want you guys to do is to perform a quick, sharp exhale. Now, what's most important to remember is that you want to make sure that exhale is held, because there's no point doing it and then releasing. You want to make sure, like with that slack pull, there's no point just tugging at the bar and taking a slack each time if you're just going to release it at the end. There's no point doing it. So as you take the exhale, you want to make sure you hold that exhale. And then, so I'm talking right now, but I'm still contracted. I'm still holding that exhale. From that position where you're holding that exhale, then you want to intake air into your stomach. So it looks like this. So first step, exhale. Second step, intake of air. Now, when you intake air into your body, the most important thing to remember is you want that air to go into your stomach. You don't want that air to go into your chest. The most important thing is because directly behind your stomach is where your lumbar is, where your lower back is. And that's the area that becomes most vulnerable during lifting, and that's the area you want to protect the most. So the counteracting, what's opposite of my lower back is my core, my stomach in front of me. So that's where I want to pack my air. So, and another reason that you want to bring air into your stomach is because when you breathe into your chest, that will cause a hyperextension of your torso, because you're essentially raising the chest. And if I switch to this side angle here, you'll see that if I breathe into my chest, that will cause my torso to hyperextend, and that's not a position that you want to be in with your squat and with your deadlift. Now, I want to bring attention that I specifically said with your squat and with your deadlift, not with your bench, because with the bench it's a bit different, and I'll get to that later on. So essentially, if I just do that recap, first step, sharp exhale, inhale through the stomach. Now, when you inhale, you want to remember that it's not just putting air into your stomach, it's putting air into the lower part of your torso, but you want to expand that air in a 360 degrees of travel. So it's not just packing air in an anterior direction, it's packing air in a 360 degrees. So in front, on my sides, and on my back. And when you slap on a belt, that's why I use a belt, and that's why a lot of lifters use a belt, not just to give them, it's to actively give the lifter something to push against, and something like on the back or on the side. When they feel something there, it helps them actively cue to pack air in 360 degrees. So after you've completed step 1 and step 2, exhale, inhale. Now, as you pack into air into your stomach and you've reached your maximum point, then you want to contract. You want to tighten this air, because right now you've got air in your stomach, but you need to contract it to make sure it's being used. So essentially a contraction, it's an active contraction of your core. So it will look a bit like this. Essentially you're tightening your abs with air. And so if I just do it naturally for you guys, so it'll look a bit like this. So essentially, after I've packed in all that air, I want to do a sharp contraction of my stomach and my core, and that's when the air is packed in and it's being used. So essentially, that's the 3 steps that you need to be doing to make sure you're performing a good brace. So step 1, sharp exhale, make sure you hold that exhale. Step 2, intake of air in that held exhale position, intake of air into your stomach, not your chest, into your stomach, and in 360 degrees of expansion. And number 3, hard contraction of the air to pack it in and really provide that support. And if you guys try for yourself, I guarantee you the amount of stability, the amount of tightness you'll feel in your stomach, it will be a game changer for you. Like the stability you'll get for your lifts, like your lower back, if you're feeling soreness, that might be a reason, because your lower back is being vulnerable. So strength, injury prevention, stability. So you'll see definitely it will be a game changer if you brace correctly. Now, I mentioned before, that's how you brace for your squat and your deadlift. Because with your squat and your deadlift, you don't want that hyperextension in your torso. You want to maintain a flat torso. Now, when we move on to the bench press and we talk about bracing during that bench press, it's quite similar in most of the aspects, but there's one key difference. So if I go through the steps again with you guys, step 1, you want to perform that sharp exhale, same as the squat and deadlift. So sharp exhale in that bottom, but however, now the key difference is, instead of loading air into your stomach, you want to load air into your chest. You want to load air into your diaphragm, and you want to expand that chest as much as you can. So look a bit like this. So exhale, holding that bottom position, inhale into your chest, and then contraction. So, and the reason that you want to pack air into your chest instead of your stomach during that bench press is because during that bench press, you want to ensure that your scapula is set into that bench. And so when you put air into your diaphragm, it will passively put your scapula back, and it will put you into that passively retracted position, whilst also putting air into your diaphragm will expand your chest, so it will also cut down the range of motion. But the most important thing is, a lot of people, they get shoulder injury. They come across a shoulder injury during bench, or they feel a bit of niggle in their shoulder because the glenohumeral joint, the joint at the shoulder, there's not enough space in that capsule. And so when you expand that diaphragm, it actually gives you more space in that, it opens up that capsule. So like the head of your humerus, it will sit in that shoulder joint a lot better. So that's bracing for benching. So the main difference is just that you want to load air into your chest and not your stomach. But so just I'll do this in real time for you guys now, just so you guys can take a look and see how it's done. So I've set my barbell up here to perform a low bar squat. I'll get set into position, and then hopefully you guys can see in depth how I pack my brace for my squat. So it's important to know that as I perform that unrack, I will perform that brace as well, but I'll just skip that bit so you guys can see the squat. So from here, you want to take step 1, sharp exhale, intake of air, contraction, release. I'll do that again for you guys in real time. And now I'll set up a bench press for you guys so you guys can see that as well. Alright, so now I'm just going to go through the bench press. I'll be pretty quick in my setup, just so we're not wasting time with that. But essentially, when you've unracked the bar and you're in that starting position, I'm just going to go through the steps of bracing here. So step 1, sharp exhale. Step 2, breath into the diaphragm. Contraction. And release. So I really want you guys to focus on that step 2 where you see that my chest and my diaphragm expands and not my stomach, and hopefully you guys can see that scapular traction and stability that I receive from that. Easy, beautiful. So that's all from me today. I'm talking about how to properly brace for your squat, bench, and deadlift for your big compound exercises. Honestly, try this out, implement those small changes that you might not have come across or you might already have, but really, like, I want to drill how important it is for you guys to focus on your bracing. Like, it shouldn't be a thing where you're thinking, oh, you're doing a rep and you're getting a bit bored. It's like, oh, I'll take a breath of air between reps. You know, it's a very pivotal thing that you really need to drill down and make sure you're emphasizing, because honestly, bracing can make or break your lift a lot of times. So that's all from me today, guys. Hopefully that was helpful for you guys, and I'll catch you guys next time. Take care.